And now, a workshop of the McAllen City Commission. All workshops are open to the public in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. These workshops allow for detailed staff presentations.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's workshop. I think we're probably going to be tabling a couple of items, correct, Roy?
Yes, sir.
What will we
any
table?
questions on number one?
No, for the meeting. Anything? Questions regarding the meeting? Nope.
Okay, yeah, we would like to table items 2 and 3, Mayor. I know the information's in your packet, but my director is out.
Okay, let's go to item number 4.
Yes, sir. Item number 4 is discussion of drug and alcohol policy. We named it that. There was a request by the commission to talk about what the law says on THC. And so we wanted to present it this way, and then there's any questions or comments about it, we can address them.
Okay.
They have the packet. Let's get started.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right, good afternoon, Mayor, City Commission. So we want to discuss a little bit of the drug and alcohol policy this afternoon, specifically how THC, how it relates to THC use. THC is the acronym for tetrahydrocannabinol. It is the psychoactive ingredient in the marijuana plant. We'll move over to the drug and alcohol policy. The Department of Transportation, via the Office of Drug and Alcohol Policy Compliance, they're the ones that regulate our drug and alcohol testing industry. They set standards, procedures for testing. City of McAllen, we mirrored the Department of Transportation policy and procedures as part of the city's drug and alcohol plan. Drug and alcohol policy is shared with all of our new employees at their new employee orientation. We take time to discuss the policy, make sure that they understand, acknowledgments are received, Q&A with the employees. Employees are expected to adhere to the policy and not to use prohibited or illegal drugs and or alcohol. So, okay. All right, so prohibited conduct for the drug and alcohol policy. City's drug and alcohol policy defines prohibited conduct for employees. It is unauthorized use, possession, manufacture, distribution, sale of any illegal or controlled substance as defined by the Texas Controlled Substance Act. Prohibits the presence of any illegal drug, unauthorized substance in the body at any time, at work, on city premise, or executing city business. Failure to pass any of our drug or alcohol tests administered by this policy is prohibited. So I'd like to talk about the state and federal laws. It is complex, it's changing. The landscape is rapidly changing in the workplace with regards to THC and marijuana. At the federal level, marijuana THC is illegal. It's classified as a Schedule I substance through the Controlled Substance Act. Schedule I substances are drugs that have no accepted medical use. All right, the Department of Transportation adheres to the Controlled Substance Act, which states that THC marijuana is illegal and it's unacceptable for safety-sensitive employees to use drug or alcohol, to have THC use while they're employees under the safety-sensitive category. Apologize. Any questions on the state or federal law side? All right, so now comes the Compassionate Use Act, which came in, it was enacted in 2015. And the Texas Compassionate Use Act allows for limited use of low THC oil, cannabis oil, to be used for qualifying medical conditions like epilepsy. In 2019, it was enacted to expand to include additional conditions, medical conditions. There are three components to the Compassionate Use Program. The first is the physician section, or the physician's component. There's about 3.2% of medical doctors here in the state that participate in this program. They are licensed, they have to be licensed and registered through the Compassionate Use Act or program. They must provide, the cannabis oil has to be 0.5% of the THC. All right, that's the role of the physicians. The criteria, the cannabis oil, it has to be orally ingested through inhalation or using a nebulizer. It is not allowed to be smoked or through a vaporizer. There's dispensaries now. There's 3 in Texas. They are the ones that are responsible for providing the THC or the medical marijuana to the patients. The program currently has 1/5 of 1% of patients, registered users here in Texas. The 56,131 as of the end of May. All right, the program is considered one of the most restrictive here in Texas, and the city of McAllen does not allow the use of low THC consumption through the Compassionate Use Program because it remains on the Schedule 1 and as part of the Texas Controlled Substance Act. All right.
So the state's okay with it, but we're not.
The state is.
No, those are two different things.
Okay, well, I guess we get a little confused here. You have the Compassionate Act that says, hey, up to a certain point, you can. It's even legal to prescribe and to take. But if one of our employees is prescribed and takes, he'd be subject to discipline.
Right, so the state allows the use of this product, right, at certain levels, depending on what the doctors say. And so our test for drug screening is very straightforward, right? Somebody could be using this substance and not be positive. That's fine, because we can't detect it. But as far as DOT is concerned, if somebody is using THC and we drug test them and they test positive, they test positive. There's no way around it. And law says you're positive for the drug. So if you're below a certain threshold and it's non-detectable, then it's a non-issue. But once they go above that level, we have no option.
But even if they get the prescribed amount, would that be detectable?
I'll let them answer that.
Potentially, yes. 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 And that sort of feeds into this next slide, which talks about the medical review officer, because the medical review officer, they're in charge of reporting. They analyze the specimens. They report out on the program to the employers. And DOT is very specific with MROs regarding they can't say that it's a negative if a physician is prescribing medical marijuana. It must be ruled a positive. And once that medical review report comes back in with a positive result, that turns into an issue related to our policy, which doesn't, it violates the policy. That's what it does.
Because DOT says?
Because the Department of Transportation, through the medical review officer, has detected a metabolite. Right.
And do we need to follow that?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I mean, that's the DOT guideline that we use. And so you and I can use the product, and if we're not employed in an employment that requires DOT certifications and so on, then we're fine. You could be above that.
So it's only people that require DOT certification or something? Anyone
that is
safety sensitive.
Safety sensitive positions in the city of McAllen.
And do we have those, okay, this applies to you, this does not?
Yes.
There
everybody that gets randomly drug tested.
But that's everybody, isn't it? Or just people that are.
No, it's
subject
not
to-
everybody.
No, it's not
Safety
everybody.
sensitive.
Yes,
Safety
that's-
sensitive is actually what it is. So it's DOT and other safety sensitive
So, for
positions.
example, your position, you wouldn't have to.
My position,
Yes.
I absolutely am drug tested.
But why?
Okay.
But what's the safety sensitive?
I make a lot of decisions in any given.
Well, but that's more financial, that's this, but what about safety?
I am involved in every aspect of the city of McAllen.
Who is not subject to safety sensitive?
A lot of our clerical staff, a lot of our admin, positions like that. But anybody that's driving, in equipment, in the management positions, we are required to be in the drug testing.
Go for it, sorry.
No, that's it in a nutshell. You know, that's what happens. The
What
medical
about
review
alcohol?
officer,
Alcohol.
alcohol
same
is a little bit easier to deal with at the point of the test. If it's above a 0.04%, it's considered a positive under Department of
If it's under,
Transportation.
if it's .039, it's okay?
Well, they have to be removed from safety sensitive functions. Anything between a 0.02 and a 0.039, they get removed from safety sensitive functions. And then it's up to the department head in a cooperation with our city manager to determine what the disciplinary action is.
But as long as there's alcohol, they're subject to disciplinary action.
Yeah, anything above an 04 or a positive THC, the discipline is termination. There is no other. And so below an 04 is, we still have some discretion because it's not considered positive. But otherwise,
Well, that's halfway drunk. .08 is considered.
well, and you know, it's possible that there's something else that's going on. And so that 04 has been our standard for 15 or 20 years. I happen to disagree with it, but that is the policy that we have.
We need to take a look at it because if somebody's okay to be halfway drunk, that's not cool. Yet, if they have a little bit of THC that might not affect them as bad as alcohol, they're pretty much out.
Right, and yeah, and there's a lot of elements to that criteria. THC is illegal, alcohol is not.
Except if it's prescribed.
Yeah. If it's prescribed to them, should the employee advise you of it?
Doesn't matter. If they test positive, they're positive.
And that's what I don't like there.
The distinction, if I could expound on that just a little bit, Mayor, the distinction with THC is with other prescribed substances that are considered controlled. If you have a physician prescription, the MRO, upon receipt of the prescription, can designate that test as negative. With THC, the way the Texas Compassionate Use Act is written, does not allow the MRO to convert a positive finding for THC to negative. It remains illegal under Texas law. So the Texas Compassionate Use Act is codified in the administrative code. It is not contained in the penal code. And it is a system by which certain certified physicians through certain pharmacies can dispense a very specific form of THC. Like Yoli mentioned, it is used to treat certain seizure disorders. In certain patients near end of life, a lot of hospice agencies use a nebulizer form to help relax patients. But it is very, very controlled, very specific in its use, and not generally prescribed.
And I understand, but I would just hate to see somebody in our administration or staff having epilepsy or something, have it prescribed, and then this happens.
Yeah. That's my concern too. Exactly.
I mean, if it's not prescribed, I understand 100%.
But even if it's prescribed, our concern is, you know, they're behind heavy equipment.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, I mean, maybe they can't be performing that role.
Well, we only test, like I said, we only test safety-sensitive positions.
Yeah.
So that criteria has already been determined.
So that's a concern I have. Those are the issues. I don't know whether we could possibly take a look at it, or, I mean, I understand discipline, I just always think about being fair to everybody. I'm sure you all do. But that makes it seem a little unfair. I mean, somebody can come 0.39, almost half drunk, and they'll get disciplined, but not. I mean, the other one, hey, I'm positive for drugs.
Well, we could certainly look at those
So I
thresholds.
say we take a look at it and see what we can possibly do.
So you're looking for it to be more punitive on the alcohol side?
No, less punitive on the THC.
Yeah, unprescribed.
Correct, I'm prescribed.
You're looking for a level of discretion with
I
extenuating
mean,
circumstances.
if it's prescribed, if not, I mean, that's different. But if it's prescribed, I mean, we're jumping into the doctor's role and, hey, you know, you're bad because you did this.
And possibly they can't be working on heavy equipment or on, you know, being out on the road, possibly, yeah, but you've got to work with somebody that has some type of a problem and a doctor is prescribing. That's the only thing I think.
I guess being a little compassionate. If maybe there's nobody here that needs it.
Yeah, there might not be anybody that meets that criteria, I'm just saying. When you have that many.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know that we have anyone with that specific disease, but we have had employees that had a prescription that we've terminated.
See, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can look at it.
We'll take a look at
it. Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, and that's why we're having this discussion.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next item, what do we have?
That's all of it?
Okay, we'll recess into executive session.
This concludes the workshop of the McAllen City Commission. Workshops are held every second and fourth Monday of the month, convening at 4 p.m. at the McAllen City Commission chamber on the third floor at McAllen City Hall.
We had an idea. ¿Qué tal si los invitamos para McAllen que participen con las escuelas de nosotros? Increíble fue la idea, pero la logística también fue increíble. Por eso tenemos que darle las gracias a muchísimas gentes. Primeramente a Juan Olaguibel, nuestro director de puentes. Thank you so much, Juan.